Hey guys, here we are with another episode of Grow the Game, and today we're going to be talking about things to look at um, in each position as far as, maybe if you're at tryouts, because people are going to start having tryouts coming up. Maybe you are a parent that is trying to help your kid make the team or get the position they want. Here's just some tidbits of what I think most people look at. I can only speak for myself, but I think I am not alone in this situation. So I won't do a lot of writing. But setter, okay, that is the person that is running up there, setting the ball. They're always going for the second touch. I think too often we are worried about their hands, and sure, hands is part of it, but it's their feet, their quickness. They've got to go get to a ball to put their hands on. If they can't get there, they're not going to put their hands on very many balls. So, being being able to read passes and get there, I think is almost more important than their hands. Now, you want to have clean hands, and what does that mean? That means you're contacting the ball simultaneous, right? That way you get a very consistent ball each time. I think leadership, being a good leader, vocal is going to be very helpful. Just being able to get the ball to where it needs to go, okay? Give your offense a chance to be swinging and have options. That's huge for a setter, okay? I think they need to be really mentally engaged the farther they go into it, is 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th. They need to know why they are setting what they're setting, okay? In middle school, I would like to see this more often, is starting to understand why they're doing what they're doing. Like, they set a ball and it's a great ball, we get a kill, that's awesome. If you ask them why and they just say, I don't know, that's not great. That's not good. We want them knowing why they set that. Maybe it's because that's our best hitter. Maybe our hitter that she just said is on fire. Maybe they have a terrible block on the other side that's really small. Go after them. If you can be thinking about that, that tells me now you're playing chess and not checkers, right? You are above and thinking moves ahead. So really be able to think, move your feet, give us a good ball. Okay. So let's move on to, we'll just kind of go in a circle here. If this is typically our setter, typically next is your outside hitter. And you can kind of lop these into pins, but I'm going to kind of break them apart because I think there's some key differences. Your OH, or your outside, okay, they tend to get the ball statistically about 70% of the time, okay? So you're definitely going to want this person to be smart with what they're doing, okay? It's awesome if they go get kills a lot, okay? If your team is outside led when it comes to kills, you're probably pretty successful. But I can tell you, if an outside is having a lot of errors, you will struggle as a team. So being smart, being able to have multiple shots, not just swing hard as humanly possible, okay? I see that too often in 11s, 12s, 13s, 14s kind of club, that middle school range. Just people go and hit it as hard as you can and see what happens. And sometimes that works and sometimes it doesn't. But I would rather see my outsides have good roll shots, tipping in good spots when they're in trouble or they're struggling to swing, being able to controlled swing down the line or cut it. Just having a toolbox and not just a tool, okay? They obviously need to be able to block a little bit because they're going to be up front. They're not the blocking, I don't think, is their number one, okay? But it is definitely helpful. If another team has a right side that can really just play, it's very helpful to have an outside that can also put up a block. Typically, outsides in some defensive systems need to pull back and pass. So, whether that's serve receive or in transition, they're going to be able to pass a little bit. So a 6 rotation outside who plays front and back row definitely needs to have a little bit of everything. Okay, looking for a little bit of everything. They need to be good fundamentally. They need to be able to pass a little bit, serve a little bit, hit. I mean, they have to do a little bit of everything. So let's move on. The next one you would probably see is a middle blocker. Then I'll get to right side here in just a second. But middles, they will need to love offense and defense the same. Okay, they set the tone defensively, as in they are blocking preferably every ball that gets set. Okay, so they have to kind of have some pride in their defense and not just their offense. I mean, you love to run the one and be quick and hit it hard and all that jazz, and that's fun. But at the end of the day, I need middles loving defense just as much as they do their offense. Okay, it is a hard-working position. They are constantly moving. I'd go as far to say is the hardest working position on the court. Okay, so I don't need someone who's lazy. I need someone who's working their tails off. Like I said, offense, defense, being a good blocker, being a smart middle rather than powerful can really go a long ways. Okay, in most defensive systems, if a middle can be very have multiple shots, man, they are tough to defend. Okay, if you get 2 or 3 blockers on them, they can tip to corners, and then they start running up. Now we're talking other corner. They just really smart middles can be very, very handy. Okay, then we go to right side. Their biggest concern, in my opinion, is that they need to be a good blocker. Okay, they will be blocking the other team's best hitter 9 times out of 10. So they have to set defensively a good block so that we can slow down their best hitter and hopefully give our hitter a good chance. Okay, you see a lot of taller kids get put at right side because of that blocking aspect. I think being able to hit is secondary to blocking, but it is definitely very helpful because now if my right side can give us both our best hitter as an outside and now an option on the right side, we really have spread out our options and our ability to attack anywhere on the court. So right sides, I think, be able to give us a pin option to counteract our outside, and that way those middles and those blockers over there really have to work. So sometimes they have to pull back and play a little defense. You don't see it as much comparative to outsides, but I think very block heavy is what they need to work on, as far as then also being an option from the other side on the right side. So then really the only thing we have left is a libero and a DS that would be out there. Okay, I'm just going to kind of lop them both in together here and just give the little tidbit of what I think is a little different. DS's is a defensive specialist, and that's going to be someone who's going to come in back row for maybe a really tall, slower front row type person. You can bring in a smaller, quicker, passing heavy kind of person, and they can play defense. That's where you get defensive specialists. But I think being able to pass is number one. Okay, you're going to be someone we're counting on in serve receive. You're going to be someone who is a defensive specialist. So you are trying to dig other people. We need you being great at defense. If they can jump and swing as a DS in particular, great. That is a cherry on top, not necessary. Okay. But I think also serving is going to be big for them because 9 times out of 10, if I can have my DS come in for a back row, I already now have them in for that half rotation for defense. I don't have to have an outside or a right side or whatever serving and being a liability on defense. So if I can bring them in because they can also serve, great. Okay. So DS's serve receive, big in transition, be a good server. Okay. And then libero. It's a form of a DS, so all those same things. Serve receive strong. Okay, gotta lead us defensively and serve receive. Digging, talking, kind of running the defense, calling what's going on the other side. And then out of system balls, depending on what system your school uses, could be libero taking that second ball or DS taking the second ball if setter does, and being able to place that second touch somewhere so that our pins can still be active. I think libero needs to be mentally tough because they don't get to come off the floor very often. Typically, they'll play their 3 rotations. The middle blocker will come back. They'll serve. So they're out while the middle blocker serves. That one person. They come right back in as soon. So you really have to be mentally tough. You have to be consistent because if you're out there almost the entire time, we need you being able to snap back from a mistake and get right back at it. We need you to not get down on yourselves. Those kind of things I think are really big for liberos because if they're not coming out, then they need to be impactful. They need to be consistent in what we're getting. And like I said, loud, being able to control what's going on defensively, talking, seeing what you're seeing, keeping everyone on the same page. So those are my little tidbits about each position. If you have any questions, please send something. I also have several videos on here referring to plays and sets and kind of what we're doing. Defensive systems. So okay, we've got our players. How are we going to place them, right? And I also have a couple with drills, and there's a few about partnering with parents. And I think this could be for parents, just helping understand, like I said, maybe help their kid get to be good at the position they want to be at, or they're put into a position that is new, and here's how you can help them, right? I know you've never done right side, you've always been a middle, but here's what we should now work on, right? So I appreciate you guys. I look forward to this coaches clinic we got coming up. Thank you all for all who supported by ordering t-shirts and whatnot. I can't wait to start repping those around town. I just appreciate you guys doing everything you're doing so we can grow this game and make it better for parents, players, coaches, and just everyone in the community.